Okay, this is where we're at. I have reworked both tracks. I'm guessing I have like 14 to 16 hours into reworking these tracks. I've been working all weekend on the second set, and I think they're ready to go now. This thing is never going to be good for any serious off-roading, but for gentle use, I think the tracks will be okay. If not, I have been able to find a set of Martyr tracks from Chunwai, but they want like $700 for them. And then I'd probably have to get their sprockets, which could be a problem because I'm sure they're not going to match the same shaft. But if the hole in the new sprockets, and those are the idlers, if the hole in the new sprocket is 12 millimeters or less, I can enlarge it to 12 millimeters and then slot it for the key. The shaft, both the shaft and the sprocket have a keyway in them, and you put a key in there to hold everything in place and then lock it in with a clip. So as long as the hole in the new sprockets isn't more than 12 millimeters, that shouldn't be a problem. So we'll look into that if we ever want to do some really serious off-roading with this thing. Let me spin it around. This Lazy Susan was a very good idea, if I do say so myself. It's made working on this big heavy tank a whole lot easier. The next thing I have to take care of is the return rollers. You can see that this return roller is in a pretty good place, and if you take I'm using a piece of brass bar stock for a straight edge. If you lay a straight edge across the top of the two road wheels, you can see that the bottom of the straight edge is right at the top of the axle, okay? And you've got good clearance in between the return roller and the road wheel. But if you turn it around and lay the straight edge from the idler forward across the road wheels, you can see that there's now a significant gap here. This one is almost all the way up to the top of the tire itself. It's like 1/8 of an inch lower, and because of that, you can see that it's going to bind right here. Both of these wheels have to turn counterclockwise as the tank is moving, so they'll both be turning in the same direction. But this one is pretty much touching the road wheel already, and so I'm probably going to have to go in here. You can see on the one on the other side, just past that plastic bag, you can see those are the bolts for the other side return roller, and the ones on this return roller are the same. They're right back here. I think if I elongate those holes and move it up about 1/8 of an inch, I should be okay. I'm not sure if I would want to move them forward or not. Just, you know, another little problem that has to be taken care of. I got to head to the hardware store and pick up a lot of 5mm bolts and nuts and stuff like that, and then I should be able to do something with that return roller, and then I can start mounting the motors and getting everything in place there for the testing to see. I'll first mount the motors and try to spin everything with this little 2x12 saber tooth just to make sure that the sprockets are going to turn like they're supposed to and everything is going to line up. I've been told by repeated people that these things were greatly underpowered, but Eric has suggested that it's possible they were underpowered because of the battery technology that they had 10 years ago. They were using sealed lead acid batteries like you would use in a wheelchair for this, but with today's lipos, they give a higher and more steady current flow. So with the lipos, I might, you know, get something good out of them. They're 6 to 12 volt motors DC. So if I go with like even a 3-cell at 11.1 volts, maybe a 4-cell or even a 5-cell. I know that some of these tanks use 2 sealed lead acid batteries connected in series to give total of 24 volts, and they say these motors will handle it with no problem. I'm still kind of counting on having to change the motors and go to a chain drive, but I'm going to hook these up just to see what happens. If I can get the right battery power behind them and get everything working right, we might be able to use them. And if not, we'll change them out. So that's where we're at right now. Next is the hardware store and that return roller, and then we'll start mounting the motors and see what happens. We'll see you next time.